Greetings, one and all. The Elite Ice Hockey League announced yesterday that the league will adopt a new, quote-unquote, innovative way of determining the matchups for the quarter-finals of the Challenge Cup playoffs. This new method for the Challenge Cup playoffs allows the winners of each Challenge Cup group after the group stage to choose their own opponent for the quarter-final round. Just let that sink in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Each group winner chooses their own opponent for the quarter-final round of the Challenge Cup playoffs. Well, it sure is a pretty unique idea, that's for sure, but let's take a look at the idea in more detail, shall we? For the quarter-final stage, the layout is the same. It's to remain a two-game aggregate series, but the matchups, in terms of who's going to play who in the quarterfinals, will be decided differently this year to other seasons. The three group winners out of the group stage from the Challenge Cup group stages will be seeded from 1 to 3. These three teams have already been determined as Sheffield as number 1, Milton Keynes as number 2 and Belfast as number 3. Then the other 5 qualifying teams, the 3 group runners-up and the 2 best third place teams, will be seeded number 4 to number 8. These teams include the Cardiff Devils, the Dundee Stars, the Fife Flyers, the Guildford Flames and the Nottingham Panthers. The first seed will then pick a team that is ranked between 4 to 8, and that will make up the first matchup. So Sheffield will pick one of the 4 to 8 teams, so they might pick Cardiff, for example. So the Sheffield and Cardiff would make the first matchup in the quarterfinals. Then the second seed will choose one of the other 4 to 8 teams that hasn't already been picked to play against, and that will make the second matchup. So the Milton Keynes Lightning might pick the Fife Flyers. So then the Fife Flyers have been picked, and that makes the second matchup. Then the third seed will pick one of the remaining 4 to 8 teams to play against, and that will make up the third matchup. So the Belfast Giants might pick the Guildford Flames, and they make the third matchup. And then finally, out of the 2 remaining teams in this scenario, it is Dundee and Nottingham. The highest seed out of those 2 teams will be matched up against the last team to make up the 4th and final quarter-final matchup. So Sheffield, Milton Keynes and Belfast will get to choose, out of the 4 to 8 ranked teams, which team they want to play in the quarter-finals. And then the higher seed in each matchup, including the 4th quarter-final, when it's between one of the 4th to 8 teams, or both 4 to 8 teams, the higher seed in that, and Sheffield, Milton Keynes and Belfast, will then be given the choice of playing at home for either the first or second leg of the aggregate series. Of course, one team might decide that they want to have home ice advantage in the first go, so then they will take home ice advantage in game 1, or on the flip side, they might choose to have home ice advantage in game 2 because they want to lock it down at home. So the team that's better seeded has the choice in that, including the 4th quarter-final bracket, which I think is nice. That's a nice addition to make it so that the hard work that you've made means that you get to have home ice advantage when you want. I think that's quite a nice addition. And then after the quarterfinals comes the semi-finals. We are going to look at the rest of the competition as well. For the semi-finals, the winner of the 1st and the 4th quarter-final matchups, so the winner of the Sheffield against whoever series, and then the 2 4 to 8 ranked teams, whichever one of those 2 teams wins and goes on to the next round, will play the winner of the Sheffield series. And they will play a 2-game aggregate series against each other, with then the 2nd and the 3rd quarter-final winners playing against each other as well. So the Milton Keynes series and the Belfast series, whoever wins out of those 2 series will play each other in the semi-finals. Once again, the higher seed in each matchup will then be given the choice of playing at home for either the first or second leg. And then for the final of the Challenge Cup, the 2 remaining teams after the semi-final has been played will play at Ice Arena Wales in Cardiff on Sunday, March the 4th, 2018, in a 1-game final series to determine who will be crowned this season's Challenge Cup winners. Now, the change to the quarter-final structure, which we will focus on now, is very interesting. It's very out of left field, I must admit, but here's my take on it. On the one hand, the decision to make it essentially a choose-your-own quarter-final matchup is good, as it gives more of a reward to the top teams for winning as many games as they did, because it means they get to choose their fate in exchange for all their hard work and success and the points they racked up in the group stage. But on the flip side, it seems a little bit fishy that the Sheffield Steelers, a team owned and run by the league chairman and someone who is always alleged to be putting things in place to favour the Sheffield Steelers, has once again gone and done exactly that, you know? Like, this is a very strange thing for me. Like, to me, it seems as if the Sheffield Steelers owner, Tony something, I can't remember, Tony Walsh, I believe it is, he seems the sort of guy that wants to distance himself from any of this favouring of the Sheffield Steelers. But in doing this, he's done exactly that. He's basically fueled the fire of alleged rig moments in the Elite Ice Hockey League. Now, Sheffield can essentially pick an awful team with this setup, and provided they play well enough to beat them, which is a big factor in all of this, they have an automatic ticket to the semi-final without much work needed. Now, Sheffield are better than most of the teams in the league, so provided they pick a team like Fife or Guildford, they might get through okay. So all they have to do is play some mediocre to relatively decent hockey on the 2 days that they play, and then they get to go through to the semi-finals without any trouble at all. Sure, the team that comes first in the group stage should have a good chance of doing well in the rest of the tournament, as they've proven to be one of the best from the very beginning of the Challenge Cup tournament. But this method of selection takes out the potential for any surprise matchups or unexpected matchups that can end up being some of the best hockey of the tournament in favour of just letting teams choose who they think the easiest team to beat is. It's essentially boiled down to, instead of a live draw or something like that, it's just boiled down to who do we think we can beat the easiest. Now, live draws for matchups have always been a controversial situation and have always been claimed to be rigged, so it's almost as if the league wanted to get rid of the questions and the potential the controversy and the theories and the fan theories by making it clearly rigged in favour of the top 3 teams in the competition, which I'm not really sure I like all too much. And also, some of these teams that are the top 3 in their group might not be the best teams in the competition. They might have got less points than, say, the number 2 spot in a different group. So that seems a little bit strange to me that that team is getting the chance to go and pick their own opponent over a team that's got more points than them. Maybe it should be levelled out, the teams that get the most points over the group stage get to pick, because then that seems more reflective of what's actually going on here, if you ask me. It seems a little bit strange. Now, I would rather have a live draw or something like that happen, but without some teams having bigger items than others. I'm looking at you, Sheffield and Nottingham, from last year. However, I'm very interested to see how this method goes, and whether it will make the Challenge Cup playoffs more interesting or more competitive. Or will it hinder the potential of some unconventional yet very exciting matchups? I am going to try and enjoy the Challenge Cup playoffs as most Elite Ice Hockey League fans should, unless you're a team that hasn't got in, sorry. But I'm going to watch it with a bit of a pinch of salt, as this method could easily make the playoffs more methodical and pre-calculated and predictive and boring, which is not what this league needs at the end of the day. So there you go. What do you think about the choose your own quarter-final layout? Is it good, bad, or does it favour the Sheffield Steelers yet again? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.